that we're on the driving seat. We need to be the driver. We cannot allow anyone else to design our brand. Because if that happens, somebody else will decide, you know, our colors, how we should behave, what we should write and all that. Why are we doing that? So we need to reclaim that. We need to take charge of our personal brand so that it goes according to us.
So you have mentioned that if anybody remind you, there is a thing called personal branding. And if you can start it from your teenage, then obviously it would be great. So what is your advice for the teenage viewers, those who are listening to this conversation? So the teenage viewers or the university fresh graduates or the students studying in their undergrad or master's level. So how they can prepare themselves for personal brand? What is your advice?
Right. Well, number one, we need to understand what is personal brand first. I think that's the most important part. Otherwise, then, you know, we're kind of lost. But now you know that personal brand is basically to position yourself in the right market with the right skills, you know, with the right audience and doing it well so that people remember you. That's the basis of everything. Now, while you are still at school, there must be something that we like to do and people remember, you know, friends remember, teacher remember. It might be in sports, it might be in studies, it can be anything. It can be anything. So it's okay to be, my message here is okay to be a little bit different than your friends. Because, you know, the young ones, they tend to be wanting to have the same hobbies as the other friends. They do not want to stand out because it's different. But if I were to be given the opportunity to talk to my young self again, I will tell her this: it's okay to be different. It's okay to be different. It gets a little bit uncomfortable sometimes because you are different, but it's okay. It's okay because the world evolves.
So doing the same things in a different way.
Yeah.
And if somebody is very good at debate, so he or she should continue in that field for negotiation in future career. Negotiation.
Absolutely. Yes, because as a debater, they do a lot of research, right?
Yeah. So they could be better negotiator. If someone is very good at mathematics, you already mentioned that, then he or she can go for calculative sort of career. And if someone is very presentable, so he can go for marketing or branding, promotion, these sort of careers. So the character he has significantly represent himself, then he should go for up to that career. So could you please give me a list of transferable skills which could help them to be a fast grower in their career?
It's a broad list. It's a broad list, unfortunately, but I'm going to mention a few here that I think just make sense to fresh grad first, and then the young ones and the not so young ones, because, you know, these are common language. I think number one is communication skills. So a lot of people say, oh, you know, I'm introvert. Actually, there's no such thing as introvert and extrovert. It's just a preference. So those who think that they do not like, you know, big crowd, they still like a crowd, a small crowd of one, or a crowd of two, right? It's just a matter of preference. So there's no such thing as introvert or extrovert. It's just a matter of preference. So when they were in school, take a look at all these commonalities. What's the baseline? All right. So we have communication skills. This is transferable skills. If you can talk, if you love the debate, if you enjoy certain elements of communication, it can be writing. It can be writing, it can be speaking, it can be communicating in some other method, you know. This can be transferable into some other areas as well. Some write really well. Where can they go to? They can be a journalist. They can go into, you know, take a very good role in group communications, for example, internal communications. There are some generic skills where they can go anywhere. Basically, for example, working with people. Working with people is, I think, one of the base general skills which is transferable, right? In universities, if this particular person enjoys coming out with events, initiatives, in terms of, you know, whatever activities in the university, perhaps this is where they can leverage on these skills to take it out into other area in their new job. For example, they can take a look at where any department or any role that require them to do that. Stakeholder engagement, for example, if they're good in communication, they get fresh, they get energy talking to other people. Stakeholder engagement, stakeholder management, corporate communications, journalism, for example, or even in strategic planning, because you still need to do do some strategic planning. You'll be managing people at the same time. These are all stakeholders management. So why not? So go beyond those, and maybe go beyond our country as well. Remember, I was talking about the world is our oyster. Go forth, young men and women.
Thank you. Well, now, there are some occupations, those are going to be obsolete. And yes, these occupations are no more. Even till today, we have few occupations, but which will be obsoleted by next 15 years. Because of adoption of fourth technologies and other things.
Absolutely.
So what is your advice? What sort of occupation a youngster should prefer for his great career within next 10 or 15 years?
I think, Mr. Joyner, we don't really have to look at far. I think even by this year, there's some jobs which are obsolete.
Yeah.
Right. And there are also some jobs, I think, or some roles that has been redefined or being designed in such a way that it is no longer what it was. For example, a trainer. So before the pandemic, we have trainers, corporate trainers who train face-to-face. They design the program and then they deliver the program to corporate executives and all that. And then the pandemic hit. Then what? You can't do face-to-face. So therefore, certain skill sets that they never thought they have to have, now they must have. Yes. Which is virtual delivery.
Yeah.
So all these little skills that they use once in a while before now comes into play, and it becomes part and parcel of their training deliveries. So the skill set, the abilities to engage their learners, for example. So it's because you can't be in physical room with them. So it is also a skill. Right. And what else? And again, the role of a trainer is still training, but they need to relook at the skills that they might have some, but they need to reskill or upskill. So very, very important. I'm just talking about one aspect of a job, so to speak. Teachers, for example, during the pandemic, they can't go to school, they can't really work. And then what? They also have to deliver their classroom virtually. But not many people know how. So again, this is skills. What else? Those who are in digital marketing, during the past 2 years, digital marketing has boomed so much that there are new tools now. Now, the question is that how fast are we adapting and adopting this new technology? If we want to be relevant and if we want to stay relevant in our career path, we need to have that growth mindset. We need to target at least to upskill or reskill ourselves. We need to be anew every single time. We need to be relevant. So if we've been doing the same job for the past 30 years or 10 years or 5 years, I think you and I both know that next year this job may not be the same again. Maybe same title, but different way of doing things.
Yeah. Exactly. Because previously, virtual meeting, we never thought, even before the pandemic, before 2020. So now I and you are already having a nice conversation, fruitful conversation through virtual means. So virtual skill set and e-commerce, e-marketing, and everything is just changing its way of doing things. So, Miss, I have a very important question for you. This is for my youngster audience. You know, in this channel, I have most of them are youngster, higher educated, and they would like to start their career anywhere in home or abroad.
Okay.
So for them, could you please suggest, as you have worked with many multinational companies, even Fortune 500 companies, so how a young graduate can prepare himself to be capable to start his career in a multinational organization or in a Fortune 500 company?
Sure. You know what's exciting now, right now, even in the pandemic, is that actually there are silver lining. The opportunities just cuts across borders. We're no longer just having to walk around in our postcode, but we are able to work across borders at the same time. Exactly what we're doing right now. You know, with Bangladesh and Malaysia, we're like many, many hours away by flight, but here we are. You know, the only difference is the time. That's it. Perhaps one of the things that and this is my humble opinion, number one, is to develop that growth mindset. I keep on saying that. I think this is my fourth time of mentioning growth mindset. Growth mindset means that we have that self-realization that there are things that we don't know that we need to know. So what are and developing that curiosity and have that open mind. Sometimes we grew up in a environment that groomed us to see things in a certain way. I mean, being Asian myself, I mean, I grew up in a small village, Mr. Joyner. So I know exactly what it is. You know how small my village was, where I came from. My toilet was a good 15 minutes walk.
Exactly. So in Bangladesh also the same scenario. The scenario is the same.
We're different but the same.
Yeah.
You know, we're different but